Well, I might be a few seconds early, but I don't know. I don't care. Here I am. So, what should I talk about tonight? Huh? Well, first of all, I want to tell you a little story before I get into. I have this thing I want to talk about. As you can see from the title, it's about music. But first, I wanted to give you this little story I had the other day. I was sitting around and I was playing solitaire. And, I'm looking at the cards, and the cards are either basically red or black. And I'm saying to myself, I said, could you win a game based upon the rules of solitaire with all red cards or all black cards? And the answer is no. So then I'm saying to myself, you know what? Let's ask the people this, and I'll ask you this. Could you win a game of solitaire with all black or all red? How you answer this question will say a lot about you. Okay, that's that. Now we're back to whatever. Um, I was looking at the concert, this Vax concert that came out over the weekend. I think over the weekend. I'm not sure. I don't pay attention to live concerts that much. Um, and I got this. They're crying. They want to come back. All these artists and everything, and I can understand that. There's a great deal of pleasure for performing before a live audience, just as it is with me talking to supposedly a live audience. Although I'm not sure any of you are alive out there. Um, but it's how to put this in perspective. It costs too much money to see a live act now, and you don't get that. I mean, when I was my 20s, 21, 22, just starting to hang. Actually, I started hanging out when I was 18. I went to New York City and went to the jazz clubs in New York and everything. And my music history starts out with the big band era, and then Frank Sinatra, then jazz, then folk rock, folk rock, psychedelic rock. And I'm pretty much with rock. I'm classic oldies a lot. I'm into. Like today was Bob Seger Day on my 3 for 3 thing. But you sit down and you say to yourself, now, I want to see the Stones, man. First of all, I don't want to see the Stones. I've seen them several times a couple times when I was much younger, and it cost me like $15-20, and I got to see them in small theaters. Now you pay $600, and you are at least 30 rows away, 30 to 40 rows away, easy, 30 to 40 rows away from the stage, minimum. And if it's outside, forget about it. Stadium concert, forget about it. You're listening to recorded music most of the time. You're not listening to it live. Uh, it's too hard to in a stadium, especially. It's too hard to filter out all the excess noise and whatnot, and get you to sit there and see and listen to really pure sound. So they tend to lip sync stuff and play the. That may be, if you're in the first 40 rows, maybe you're hearing it live. Um, it's very, very expensive thing to do. If you look at these concerts today, and you look at the people that are out there, and you say, how much does it cost to put this show on? Well, obviously a lot. That's why you're being charged ridiculous amounts of money to see these people, and yet you can't see them up close and personal. I mean, people thought it was a lot of money to go see oh, Ella Fitzgerald or somebody in a nightclub back in the day, and it was fairly expensive based upon your income at the time, but it wasn't outrageous. I mean, if you were middle class, you could probably see Sinatra or some others once or twice in the course of a year with no financial hardship. You would go to a nightclub to see them, or you would go to Vegas to see them in a showroom. Again, nightclub situation. You are not 400 miles away from the people that are performing. Um, The people that remember Bruce Springsteen down at the Stone Pony in Asbury Park, I have no idea why they still go to concerts to see him. I mean, I like his music, but I like it live and everything like that. But I'm not going to pay the kind of prices that he wants to sit 50 rows away. When I was, for the price of a beer or $5, I could go. I might have been able to see him in the club in New Jersey. I miss that. I miss going to clubs to see music, live music, whether it's jazz, whether it's rock, whatever. You walk in, you pay maybe now, depending on the band, you could pay as much as $20 to go to a club, a jazz club, and see somebody really way up there in reputation and whatnot. I spent $80 to see BB King and sit up close to him in a club in a theater in New Jersey, in a theater situation. And he sang in the course of the hour and 35 minutes that he was on, he sang 3 songs. Talked the rest of the time. It was to me it was a waste of money. I did it because I wanted my girlfriend, which was now my wife, to see somebody who I admired and I thought was a legend. I've done that. I've seen all the legends I want to see. So the price is big set. And it's not just the price. It's what are you getting? There's no way if you listen to like somebody like a Beyonce or singing, somebody who's out there on the stage running all over the place and working out and everything, and she's running, she's singing. Her lungs aren't that good. Okay, she can't do that without getting a little bit out of breath and starting to miss a note here or there or something like that and struggle a little bit. It's just 7 or 8 minutes into a song. I don't think they can. Very few athletes can do that. Not that they can't perform it. It's just that to actually generate the amount of lung power to sing, they'd sing perfectly. So we know that she's not singing perfectly. We know she's lip syncing. And that still takes a great deal of effort, and I admire her for that. But I just, I'm not paying to see her strut her ass around. I don't want to pay to see that. I can see that for free in this country. Just going to the center of Medellin, man. I mean, you want to see ass? There's ass everywhere. I mean, thong, no thong. You know what I'm saying? So that's not a good reason to go to a concert. The sexual aspects of it, I go see the Rolling Stones. Now here you're talking. I'm 75 years old. I'm going to go see guys that are older than me. Why? And pay pay if you want to sit up front, you're paying $600 a seat, and you're not sitting, you're standing. I'm not going to do it. I don't like paying outrageous prices for nothing. I mean. Bruce Springsteen puts on a 2-hour show, 2.5-hour show, sometimes 3 hours, sometimes 4 hours. Depending on if he's at the last show in Jersey, is usually 3.5 hours long. Oh, excuse me. And I'm not interested. I mean, in going to see that, and paying the price. I mean, great, it's worth. You're getting your money's worth, but. There's always the old. He plays mostly the old stuff. His new stuff isn't that great. He thinks. I don't want to get on Bruce Springsteen right now. Let's just go back to what I was talking about. The various musicians that are out there. You get a guy like who was I talking about earlier? Bob Seger. Bob Seger can't fill a stadium right now. I don't think he does stadium. I don't think his last concerts when he retired were stadium shows. They might have been, but you're not paying $600. Let's see. Friends of ours, me and my buddy, we were, I guess that was 30 years, 35 years, maybe 30 years ago. Maybe not quite that long. Yeah. Well, at least 25 years ago, we went to what they call a crawfish festival, and we got to see Leonard Skinner and some other people live, and I got to walk up to the stage because there was nobody in front of me. I mean, it was just, it was a couple thousand people. It was brutally hot, and I guess they're not that popular in New Jersey, so there wasn't that many. I've done the same thing with the Allman Brothers. I saw Craig Allman and he was good. I saw Craig Allman. I saw him in the same theater at BB King. He was good, but he wasn't that. It was $25. You know, great seats, $25. I don't mind paying that to sit there for an hour, an hour and a half, and have music that I like being played for me live. That's worth it to me. Going out and saying and spending oh God, $600 and sitting a mile away from the stage, or spending $125 or even $90 a ticket and sitting so far away from the stage, you can't tell if that's really that person on the stage. You're looking at basically miniatures, and that's not worth it to me. I know my wife will do it. I know a lot of people will do it. Um, and I'm not doing it. I don't know where these kids get the money that they pay to see concerts. I paid a lot of money to see Bob Dylan last time I saw Dylan, and that was quite a while ago. And I was surprised when I went to the concert that I think, I'm going to say I was around 40, between 30 and 40 years old, and someplace in that decade. And I knew who he was. I knew, I had seen the Hurricane concert for Hurricane Carter, and I knew people didn't recognize him in his pancake. I knew who he was. I knew what his music was about. It meant a lot to me. It still means a lot to me. So, I didn't mind paying the price. I had good seats and whatnot, but I still couldn't hear him or understand him. Now, he's hard to understand at times now, anyhow, but I couldn't hear him to try and understand him. I couldn't hear the music. That just frustrated me. But the surprising thing was there's a bunch of kids in there that are like 19, 20 years old say, yo, Dylan, yeah. And they have no idea what his music is about. They go to see it because he's a legend, you know. That's how he sells his paintings. I've looked at his paintings, and I'm not going to say that they're the greatest things on the face of the earth. I'm not going to pay that kind of money for them. I don't pay that kind of money for art. I don't pay that kind of money for my own art. But it's his notoriety. That's it. That brings in the cash. The same thing with his wine. I have no idea if his wine's good. I don't drink anymore, so I can't. Plus the fact that I can't get it where I am. If I wanted to taste, I taste. If I could get it where I am, I would buy a bottle from my wife and I would taste it. Just to regular taste, spit it out. But I can't do that down here. But I'm not going to pay. I'm not going to buy it simply because it's Bob Dylan. The same thing happened to the Grateful Dead. I used to buy the Grateful Dead's non-alcoholic wine, which was nothing more than grape juice. But I was teaching bartending at the time, so I would use it to show how to open up bottles of wine and how to taste wine and whatnot. But that's it's somebody people said I should do that someday. I should do show how to open bottles of wine and taste it. I said, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know whether I could open a bottle of wine anymore. I don't have the strength. I sit in this chair that I'm sitting in here now about 6 hours a day, so I don't know whether I have the strength to get up and do all these things. But anyhow, getting back to this, I guess it's like going to a Broadway play and you pay the same price for that ticket no matter who's up, if it's the headliner or if it's his understudy performing. If you don't get out of line, if you don't let them know beforehand you don't want to see it, you turn your ticket in. Most theaters will not refund the money afterwards. I went to see Dracula that way, and I forget who was supposed to be starring it, and then it was his understudy, and it turned out his understudy was better, got better reviews, and was actually better than the star was in it. So I look out at things like that. I don't know how you guys feel about it. I guess most people, it would appear that they don't mind spending the money, and I think to me it's a waste of money. It's like it's you know when I was tending bar, I could go to baseball games and concerts because I had a lot of cash. I had money, you know. But now when I left there and I started working more seriously instead of playing all the time, I had less money to spend, and I couldn't go to a baseball game every weekend. We picked and choose. We had a couple, two or three. Me and my buddy would go to two or three games a year, and you went to the game and you couldn't afford a hot dog. You couldn't afford a beer. Football games, forget about it. I mean, I went to football games when I did go to Giant Stadium. I went on other people's dime. I didn't go on my dime. So it didn't cost me that much money, except for hot dogs and a beer, which is like $30. But it's like $25 for a hot dog and a beer, and the beer's watered down, and the hot dogs are like I don't want to say what they're like, but that's what they're like. So what do you do? But it's the same thing when you go to a concert. You pay to see somebody, you know, and I think Springsteen's probably I keep talking Springsteen, but Springsteen's the only guy I know that I'm personally aware of that does this. When he plays in Jersey, he plays for the crowd. I mean, he's an old bar band. I mean, they're a great live act. There's not it's a band sitting on the stage. It's not $1 million. It's not $1 million or $2 million stage. It's a stage. It's the same stage anybody else gets on that goes up there in Madison Square Garden. And you take the Rolling Stones. The Rolling Stones are basically they're a live act. They're a great live act. But they're a bar band. But they go out there now, and their stage costs them millions of dollars, a couple $1 million, and millions of dollars to move it around and everything. I don't know how much they make. That's why they charge so much money for the tickets. And I don't know how much money they make out of that. I mean, you've got promoters and everything else. You got to give tickets away to radio stations and all this. So I don't know how much they make out of that deal. I think they probably make more on records, but I don't know. And I don't know. One of the things I don't really understand is why they're still doing it in their 70s. I mean, Sinatra did it way back. You know who Frank is, chairman of the board. Well, I think I told you the story in one of my videos that I bought tickets for my mother to go see him one year, and she wouldn't go because she said she didn't want to see him. I think he was 70 something years old at the time, and his voice cracked and whatnot. And she didn't. She said, "I don't want to go see him now." I said, "I want to remember what he was like. I want to look at records to remember, what I saw when I saw him in the club back in the day." And that was the same thing. She didn't want to go to Madison Square Garden either. She said, "I don't want to sit that far away." I sat in a nightclub and saw him. When I was younger. When I was a kid. When I was dateable. You know what I mean? So why would I want to go see him in this big theater? And I'm always of the opinion that Woodstock changed everything. Because I remember Sly and the Family. That was a big group. I don't know how many people are actually involved in putting them on the stage. Probably about 20, minimum of 20, maybe more. And he would get $3,000 a concert. All right, and that broke down to something like they'd get like maybe $300, $350 a piece out of that deal after they paid their promotions and everything else. So they didn't make a lot of money out of it. After Woodstock, he turns around and he wants 15 grand to show up and do a concert in I forget the name of the stadium. It was in Bloomfield, their football stadium, their high school football stadium. And he wants to. He shows up smashed 2 hours late. I mean, so I think that changed a lot. I think Woodstock, when the promoters and whatnot finally realized that they could put 500,000 people into a venue, and I mean, there's no way there were people that never made it near the stage doing that. I mean, it was like We used to throw a concert in the woods, my friends and I, and you get up there in Pennsylvania, and we throw this concert on 1,800 acres of land. And there were people that would come in, you'd see them going through the gate when they came in, and you wouldn't see them again until they went out the gate. They never showed up for the music. Nobody ever shows up. I mean, that's like Watkins Glen, the Grand Prix of Watkins Glen. I know I was up there twice for it, and I never saw the race. And I know a lot of other people who did the same thing. They went up there to party their brains out. They never went to the race. But when you go into Super Bowl's that way too. But when you go into a concert, you want to see the concert. You want to be able to see the people. You want to. I don't expect to be able to shake the guy's hands. I know there's security concerns and whatnot like that. You can't get to talk to him or anything like that. I don't expect that to happen. I mean, I had that problem in the club sometimes. They wouldn't let you get close to the guys. But getting close to the people is how Springsteen and a lot of these other guys that made it coming out of the nightclub, out of the bar scene. That's how they made it, being able to talk to people. I mean, I've talked to Dylan when he was performing way back when in where was it that I did that park in New York. I can't remember the name. It skips me right now. It's one of those mind farts you get when you're old. It'll come to me in the middle of something else. Washington Square Park, and we were, Washington Square, and he was leaning against the fountain in there, and he's playing. And I got to talk to him, and I did that with a lot of the so-called folk style music people back in the day. You could do that. Joan Baez was that way. Joan Baez did college concerts. Even the Cream did a did a high school, played in a high school auditorium in Irvington. It's not something everybody knows about, but they were there. That was the time when I forget. Was it one of the DJs from New York asked Clapton? I think he asked Clapton. He says, "How can you guys get up there and play night after night? You're so smashed." And he says, "It's all reflexes. We've done it so many times. We're doing it in our sleep." And he says, "Sometimes we are asleep." So, and you're paying money to see this, where they're not really paying attention to you. Like Jim Morrison was all about himself when he was up there. I don't think he really took much interest in how you felt about what was going on. He wanted to be high, and if you were high, that was cool. But how much his music meant to people, I don't think he knew. Because he was so stoned all the time. Bruce, unfortunately, has the impression that because the critics started writing about him after he'd been around for a while, that because he's popular, he gets a lot of people come out to see him, that he was the new poet laureate. And he's not. I don't think he's the poet laureate of his generation. I'm not going to say who is, but I'm sure he is. And the other thing about him, when he goes out to play for somebody else, like he played, I think, Roy Orbison, one time he was playing with him and some other guys, and he hogs the stage. And he tries to be out front, as the star. He's got that point where he wants to be that person, And none of these people that are out there, these musicians who are out there, are part of the common folk. I don't care if they're rap artists or what they are. Rap artists, as soon as they get money, they buy a gold-plated SUV with the hydraulics in it, and put enough gold around their neck to buy an apartment building, and then they don't care anymore. I mean, Beyonce isn't going back to her old neighborhood. So she says, well, her charity makes a donation. Her charity makes donations because she's got too much money, and she has to. If she doesn't do those donations, the government will take half of it. All right, you got to understand that deals with anybody that's got money. Okay, they don't want to pay taxes. All right, this is what that's something for another day. But I remember going to see like the Four Tops and the Temptations and whatnot. You could go see them all the same night for like $20, in Madison Square Garden, you know, and you sit back and the music's great, and you go outside and they're standing around and they're harmonizing in the streets sometimes. These guys weren't that fan. These guys got ripped off more than anybody else in the world, the black music artists. Back in the day, the ones that were there at the beginning, they got ripped off more than anybody else in the business. They're the guys that they still can't get the money that they deserve. You know, and they were talented. They had talent that was, you know, but you see, they get that stardom. That was David Ruffin leaving the Temptations. That kind of because he thought he could make it on his own, and he couldn't. He couldn't. He really didn't make it on his own. And then by then, the Temptations weren't the thing in the world anymore. Oh God, who was the rap artist that came out way back when? I can't remember, but the beginning of rap music, Hammer. He's out there, and he couldn't get near his concerts because he was so popular and everything like that. He'd go out in the audience and he'd be out there after the shows talking to people and whatnot, rapping around and whatnot. Gone. Don't know exactly what happened to him. I've heard rumors, but I don't know. I don't repeat rumors, but unless I have some sort of proof behind it. Um, but I'm very disappointed in society with the music and everything like that. And they want to get back out there again, and they don't care whether you wear a mask or not like that. I'm fully vaccinated now, and I go out with a mask on. Because I don't want to. Don't know whether I can spread it. I know I can't get it supposedly, but I'm not sure, 100% sure of that. Remember that the best out there is 70 to 80%, which means 8 out of 10 people won't catch it, but that doesn't mean that the 2 out of 10 can catch the virus. All right, we're coming up to the end of the day. I know I kind of didn't get deep enough into what I wanted to. I don't have enough hardcore evidence of certain things. Like I said, I don't know how much a concert actually costs to put on, but I do know that you're paying an awful lot of money not to be able to see the person up close in person. You should be able to see the sweat running down their face without binoculars or without looking at the big screen television. If you want to look at big screen television, stay home, watch someone that can wait till it goes on MTV. Rent the video, whatever. All right, next week. I don't know what we'll talk about next week. We'll wait to see what happens next week. Remember, I do my 3 for free every day. Like I said, today was Bob Seger. I've done this. I've done Slade, Bob Seger, Toda, Nirvana. I do them all. I don't care. I play whatever music comes along, and if you like it, you like it. You don't, you don't. I do a lot of blues because that's my favorite music. And it's and that's what I play a lot of. I don't play a lot of Bob Dylan, who's my favorite artist, because people don't like Bob Dylan as much as I do. They go, I don't want to listen to Dylan, man. What's wrong? What's wrong with you? Um, but that's every day, 7 days a week, without fail. I put up occasional videos here on YouTube that are recorded and then placed on air. They're not live like this. What else do I do? I write a blog every Sunday. Sometimes if there's something really, really important happens, I'll put out a special one during the week or something like that. That's at floundersgreatadventure.com. We'll talk about Flounder another time. I do a lot of things. I do wood carvings. I'm not going to teach you how to wood carve. I told you to get better videos here than I could ever make. All right. So listen, coming up to the end of it, I want you guys to have a good week. Stay healthy. Don't do anything too crazy. And we'll talk to you next week. All right? Everybody have a great week. Not over yet, huh? Oh, okay. Well, here we are. We're gone.